My dad called me his biggest mistake and said I derailed the family plan, while my brother stole our joint properties to fund his new wedding. When I fought back, Dad sued me demanding 50% of my income. You owe me for raising your worthless self. So I moved my assets to gold, destroyed them both in court, and left them all broke and begging. Let me 25 male walk you through what it's like being the family's designated mistake. And I don't mean in some oops, we weren't ready to be parents way. I mean labeled, like actually told to my face that I wasn't supposed to exist. This literally started the moment I was born. Dead serious. My old man looked me in the eye when I was a literal child and said, "You weren't planned. We were doing fine until you came along." Said I derailed the plan, that I was the reason things didn't work out for him and mom. I was sitting there with my damn lunchbox while this man gave me a life debrief like I was a failed Kickstarter project. That wasn't a one-time thing either. He said it repeatedly, like it was supposed to motivate me or something. As if hearing, "You ruined our lives" on loop would turn me into Elon Musk or fix the broken transmission in his old Ford Taurus. Meanwhile, my siblings got hugs, presents, "I'm proud of you" speeches. My oldest brother especially, he was the golden boy. Firstborn privilege on steroids. That dude could have robbed a bank and dad would have called it initiative. They had father-son talks over coffee like they were in a movie. Inside jokes. Trips to the dealership together. Meanwhile, I couldn't get 5 minutes without getting barked at. You'd think I set the house on fire or something. Nope. I just existed wrong. And let me tell you, it does something to you when you're the only kid in the house who's treated like a charity case no one asked for. It messes with your wiring early. You start thinking maybe they're right. Maybe you are a burden. Maybe everything bad that happens is your fault. The part that really burned wasn't that my dad couldn't be decent. It's that he chose not to, specifically with me. He had the skill set. I saw him use it all the time with everyone else. That's when it clicked. Childhood wasn't going to happen for me. Not the way it was supposed to. I couldn't afford to wait around for Christmas gifts or birthday money that never came. If I wanted something, even something small like headphones or a decent pair of sneakers, I had to earn it. No one was coming. And once I understood that, game on. I remember once in high school, I saved up for 6 months doing odd jobs so I could build my first PC. Not even a gaming rig, just something to code on and maybe watch YouTube in 1080p without it freezing every 5 seconds. Took me forever. Parts shipped in, I assembled it myself. No one helped. Then one day, I caught my dad using it without asking. He was clicking through sketchy pop-ups like it was 2004, infecting it with every virus known to man. I politely asked him to stop. He didn't just stop. He lost it, said I was disrespecting his roof, unplugged the whole setup, carried it outside, and smashed it on the driveway, like he was auditioning for a WWE event. No explanation, no refund. Just, "You don't talk to me like that." I swear the look in his eye, dude was proud of himself, like he just proved a point. I didn't cry. I just watched the parts scatter and knew then and there, I'm not safe in this house and no one's gonna come help. Because guess what my mom did? Nothing. She wasn't cruel, just weak. That's honestly worse sometimes. She'd watch the mess happen, like it was a drama show she didn't have the remote for. She stood there at the door, arms crossed, chewing her lip like she was watching a rerun. And after he was done throwing his tantrum, she turned to me and said, "You shouldn't talk back to your father like that. You know how he gets?" Yeah, that's the problem, Mom. So I stopped relying on people after that. I got real good at staying out of the way, keeping my head down, and stacking quiet resentment like bricks. I didn't do therapy, didn't have time for self-help podcasts or journaling. I built a wall around everything, my feelings, my time, my goals. Dude could rant all he wanted and I'd just hear TV static. After a while, I stopped feeling. Not in a depressed, emo teen kind of way, more like survival mode. I learned how to go emotionally blank around him. Eventually, I could sit through the rants without blinking, like a hostage blinking in Morse code. But I didn't spiral. I didn't go off the rails or end up needing healing crystals or whatever Instagram's pushing now. I went the opposite direction, focused up, learned everything I could about how money works. Work, invest, multiply. So while they were doing their family sitcom crap and playing favorites, I was putting in real work. I started hustling early, picking up side gigs, getting into coding, freelancing. It wasn't about proving anything to them. It was about having options. I needed out. Fast forward a few years, and somehow I became the one paying for the family home. Yep, that same house. The same place where I was treated like a walking inconvenience. Bills were stacking up, and shocker, no one else stepped up. My siblings? Too busy going to brunch and posting pics of their leased cars. Dad lost most of his work contracts in his late 40s, but instead of adjusting his lifestyle, he just sat around blaming the economy. And me, again. Said I drained the family early, and that's why they never got ahead. I didn't pay those bills because I forgave him. I paid them because I refused to let a house rot. I'm a builder by nature. Even if the foundation's garbage, I'll try to keep the lights on. But that was my mistake. Thinking responsibility means tolerance. It doesn't. It just means I was the only adult in a house full of freeloaders and cheerleaders for the man who torched my childhood. Mom stayed the same. Never evil, never protective, just quiet. The kind of quiet that hurts worse than yelling. She'd say she stayed out of it to keep the peace. Lady, you were the one person who could have called him out, and you never did. As for my love life, non-existent. But not for the reasons they like to assume. They think I'm some introvert who hates people. Nope, I just don't do drama. Relationships are liabilities when you grow up learning people flip the switch on you. I focused on my work, my business, my investments. I'm not emotionally cold. I'm just practical. I enjoy building things, whether that's systems, income streams, or peace and quiet. But I didn't plan to be alone forever. I had a plan. I was saving, stacking, laying down roots. Even went in on some real estate with, wait for it, my golden boy brother. Yeah, I know. Stupid. But he was already married. We figured co-owning a few properties would set both of us up nicely for the future. Keep it in the family. Low risk, mutual gain. I thought, maybe this is how we build something real. Thought maybe time had healed things a little. Nah, I just didn't see what was coming. But it was coming. Hard. So it was on a Thursday. I remember it was a Thursday because I was sitting in traffic behind some dude revving a Civic like it was a Lamborghini. I get this ping on my phone from the real estate app we use to manage the joint properties. It said, Asset movement alert. Property 3 and 4 have been liquidated. First reaction? I figured it was a glitch. Happens sometimes when the app updates or their servers hiccup. So I refresh. Check the rest. Property 1? Gone. Property 2? Also gone. Okay. Now I'm sitting in my car, pulled over on the side of the road, reading it again like my screen is lying to me. Heart's doing that slow thump where it's not panic. It's focus. My instincts kick in, like something's off, but I don't know how deep it goes yet. I call my brother, goes straight to voicemail. Classic. I try again. Nothing. Texted him, call me. No response. Texted WTF is going on with the properties? And hit send. Still nothing. And then, like fate trolling me, I get a wedding invite email, like 20 minutes later. My man sends me a wedding invitation. No call, no warning, just a Gmail e-card saying he's getting married next month to some woman I've never met. That's when it clicked. He sold our properties. The same ones we both put money into. The same ones I personally handled renovations on. To fund his divorce from wife number 1, and probably to throw this new wedding bash for wife number 2. Zero heads up. Zero conversation. He used my investments to clean up his mess. That was the real betrayal. Not the money. Money can be replaced. It was the complete disrespect. The assumption that I'd just take it. That's the moment I realized. I was done playing family. I drove home on autopilot. Didn't even remember the ride. Got inside, booted up my laptop, double-checked the property paperwork. All the shared ownership filings were still there. My name was still legally listed on everything before the sales. Good. Paper trail. I didn't waste time. First thing I did, I liquidated every account I had access to. Personal checking, business, savings, pulled every cent into cash. Then I took a trip the next day and bought physical gold with it. Real stuff. Not crypto, not ETFs. Bars. Stored it securely. Multiple places. Not gonna say where, obviously, but I didn't put all my eggs in one safe, let's just say that. Why gold? Because it's not traceable the way digital transfers are. Banks can flag wire activity. Cash in a vault? That's just prepping. Next step, I called my lawyer. A real pit bull of a guy. Not one of those soft-spoken paper pushers who calls everything a civil matter. Nah. This guy's the reason I picked him in the first place. He doesn't flinch. I walked him through everything. Property co-ownership, the unauthorized sales, the lack of notice, the timing, the fact that he sent a wedding invite after gutting our joint investments. My lawyer's response? Let's fry him. Filed the lawsuit the same week. Fraud. Breach of fiduciary duty. Financial misconduct. Since we were listed as co-owners with equal rights, any sale should have required my signed authorization. He forged something. Probably a fake power of attorney or used some sneaky clause, but that only makes it worse for him legally. Once we filed, things moved fast. My brother went radio silent, but I knew he knew, because suddenly mutual contacts started calling me, asking weird questions like, "Do you think he meant to do it?" And, "Isn't this just a misunderstanding? Like, I'm supposed to shrug off someone stealing six figures from me because family?" Hell no. The legal discovery process kicked in. That's where they start combing through documents, emails, bank transactions, app logs. And the deeper it went, the more obvious it was that he'd manipulated the sale on purpose. He was even dumb enough to list his own personal account for the funds to be wired to instead of the joint account. Like I said, arrogance runs deep in my family. He thought he was untouchable. And right in the middle of that process, just when I thought the drama was peaking, my lawyer calls me again, says I've got another lawsuit coming my way. At first, I'm thinking, oh, great, he's countersuing me. I brace myself for some nonsense retaliation from my brother. But nope, not him. My father. My own father. The guy who smashed my PC into driveway confetti and told me I was a walking disappointment, is now suing me for financial neglect. Apparently, he's claiming that I promised to support him financially and that I owe him half my monthly income. Half, not a percentage, not a contribution. A full 50% of my income because, get this, he raised me, and I wouldn't be successful without his roof. And the cherry on top, he's saying he'll drop the lawsuit if I cancel mine against my brother. Like I'm supposed to trade my justice for some twisted version of peace. That's when it stopped feeling random. Because the second my dad filed that lawsuit, I realized something I should have seen months earlier. This wasn't just about money. This wasn't just my brother being reckless or selfish. This was coordinated. And dad wasn't just aware of it. He planned it. Think about it. He always hated my brother's first wife, said she had no spark, aged badly, and was holding him back. I remember him saying, "Your brother needs a woman who will elevate the family, not drag it down." Like marriage was a stock portfolio. So when golden child daddy pleaser boy met wife number two, 20-something, gym fit, Instagram curated, dad saw an upgrade. But there was a problem. The divorce was messy, expensive, and guess who had money tied up in assets just sitting there? Me. The mistake. The side character with bankable skills and zero protection. Now that I was finally standing on solid ground, they needed a way to cut me down without making it look personal. So dad played mediator. Probably said something like, just pull the trigger. Your brother won't do anything. He never does. And if he does, I'll back you. Suddenly, the timing of the property sales, the wedding invite, and the lawsuit, it all made sense. This wasn't an accident. It was a soft coup. They thought I'd stay quiet, that I'd eat it like always, that I'd fold under the same weight they've thrown at me since I was a kid. But they forgot one thing. I stopped playing the role they wrote for me a long time ago. That's when I stopped feeling disappointed and started feeling sharp. This wasn't just family nonsense. This was coordinated. My father, who never gave me so much as a good job growing up, was now trying to extort me using the legal system. Emotional blackmail dressed in court paperwork. You want to know how entitled this guy is? This man once told me I should be grateful he didn't kick me out at 16, as if food and a roof were some kind of luxury spa treatment. Meanwhile, he spent my teen years driving around in an old rusted Impala that barely started, blaming me every time it didn't. Once screamed at me because his alternator died, and I should have reminded him to check it. Like that's how fatherhood works. I'm telling you, the man lives in a world where logic doesn't apply. And now he was dragging that world into a courtroom. But what he didn't know? I was 10 steps ahead. Because I'd already moved my assets, already cleared my balances, already wiped my accounts and reported everything as personal loans that had been repaid. By the time his lawsuit hit the court, I looked broke. On paper, I was just a financially dry software consultant with no assets to my name. And when investigators came sniffing around, I told them the truth. I had planned a long international trip, didn't feel safe holding cash during travel, so I took out a loan from a friend to fund it, then backed out last minute and paid the friend back. No assets, no fraud, no trace, just a ghost with a middle finger. By this point, both cases were running side by side. My brother was getting legally grilled for asset theft. My father was trying to sue a broke man. And me? I was sipping coffee, reading legal filings like they were Reddit comments. We're just getting started. So while my brother's out there honeymooning with his new wife, whose entire personality is like sunsets and brunch, I'm knee-deep in legal strategy like it's my full-time job. Except the thing is, I don't panic. I don't yell. I don't cry into my steering wheel like some daytime drama. I document. I read. I counter. That's the difference between someone who's been emotionally punched since age 10 and someone who grew up with, "You got this, son." So while my father's little lawsuit starts heating up, I make sure everything about my financials looks like an old sock drawer: messy, confusing, and ultimately worthless. His case was built on one thing: the assumption that I'd be dumb enough to keep anything traceable. He thought I'd be sitting on cash in obvious places. Nah, I had pre-cleared my accounts to look broke, not bankrupt, just humble. A nice, clean $0, 0 cents across the board. His lawyers tried arguing that my lifestyle didn't match my reported assets, that I had to be hiding money. So my guy responds, "Then prove it." And here's the funny part: they couldn't, because they underestimated how careful I am with receipts. I had rental paperwork for my office space, loan agreements with fake but very real-looking contracts, old school gas receipts from that international trip I didn't go on. I even had a WhatsApp convo between me and a friend fake lending me cash, where we role-played like two boomers talking about wiring money and booking plane tickets to Peru. Over the top? Yeah. But effective? Absolutely. The best part was when my dad's lawyer, this stiff suit who clearly thought he was God's gift to litigation, tried to submit my credit card history as evidence. Like, aha, he spends more than he reports. Except everything was petty purchases: gas, food, subscription services, my car insurance, the occasional tech tool for work, no new vehicle, no asset purchases, no five-star hotel stays. Just boring, vanilla adulting. So the court asks my dad's side, where exactly do you believe his funds are hidden? They had nothing. Just vibes. Entitlement and vibes. I'd built a whole fortress of meh, and they walked straight into it like it was an unlocked safe, only to find canned beans and socks inside. Meanwhile, my brother? Oh, he was getting absolutely torched. Turns out, in the process of selling our properties behind my back, he fudged a few documents that made it look like he had sole control over the assets. That worked short term, but once the court dug deeper, they found the original filings and ownership contracts, with my signature clearly missing. So now it wasn't just fraud. It was willful misrepresentation during a financial transaction. Add to that, his ex-wife's lawyers had subpoenaed the same sales for their divorce settlement. Yeah, that's two lawsuits coming at him from two different directions. And the court? Oh, they were not impressed. He was ordered to repay my share with interest, and his divorce got reevaluated with the added fraud tagged on. That means even less of his assets were protected now. The dude effectively stabbed himself in the financial foot, then decided to moonwalk across a legal minefield. At this point, I hadn't spoken to my father in over a month. That changed real fast, because once his case started circling the drain, and once it became clear he wasn't going to get his cash cow back, he switched tactics, started calling me directly. First, it was calm. "Son, let's talk." Then the guilt trip started. "I raised you. You owe me. Don't you care that I'm sick?" Then came the fake emergencies. "I can't afford my medication. The house is falling apart. I might lose the car." "Which car?" "The busted sedan he used to make me wash every Saturday like it was a Tesla. The same one he screamed at me for scratching when I leaned on it too hard as a teenager." I didn't answer his calls. Not once. I let them pile up. 14 voicemails in 3 days. Then he started texting. Paragraphs. Voice memos. Even a blurry selfie of him laying on a recliner with a thermometer like some fake pity campaign. But here's what broke me. He sent a message saying, "I made you. Don't forget that." Nah. "You made a mistake, remember?" So I responded. Just once. I texted, "You didn't make me. You just proved how important it is to never become you." Blocked him after that. Radio silence. You'd think the rest of the family might try to stay out of it. But no. They picked their side real fast. My other siblings, who hadn't pitched in for anything over the last decade, started acting like I was the villain, like I'd suddenly become this cold, heartless outsider. One sister said, "It's not fair to punish the whole family just because of some old issues." Old issues? Lady, he smashed my PC with a crowbar because I disrespected him by locking my door. He called me a mistake in front of your boyfriend. I paid your freaking heating bill for 3 years while you were pretending to be a minimalist on Instagram. But now I'm the bad guy? Okay. My siblings used to see me as the responsible one, the guy who'd handle things, pay the bills, fix the Wi-Fi, show up with jumper cables when their cars stalled out. Now they saw me as unreliable because I stopped funding their comfort zone. Isn't that something? Turns out, respect in a lot of families isn't based on love. It's based on usefulness. And the second you stop being useful, you become the villain. So be it. The lawsuit from my dad eventually got tossed out. Insufficient evidence. lack of credible claim. And the judge even wrote in the statement that there appears to be a personal dispute being weaponized inappropriately through legal means. That's polite legal speak for this guy's full of crap. And with that, it was over. Or so I thought. Because when the money ran dry and the legal avenues failed, that's when the real fun started. So after both lawsuits fell apart, my brother stuck with a repayment order and my dad humiliated in court, it got quiet. But not the peaceful kind of quiet. The kind of quiet where you know someone's rehearsing their next manipulative speech in the mirror. And right on cue, it started. Phone calls. Multiple a day. Not just from my dad, but from my sister, my younger brother, even my mom. I'd see the names pop up and just let them rot on the screen. At first, they tried the concern angle. Dad's not doing well. He's not eating. He's sick again. Sick with what? Guilt? Financial responsibility? Or just the fact that no one's bailing him out for once? Then came the desperation. Dad started texting me directly again from different numbers. One came through while I was eating lunch like, house is freezing, can't afford heating, might not make it through the week. Brother, you live in a mild climate. You're not trekking through the Arctic with a sled dog team. You've got 2 space heaters and a wool blanket you stole from my room back when I was 17. Then it got weird. One message actually said, if something happens to me, it's on you. You'll have to live with that. I laughed. Legit. Out loud. In public. People stared. The same man who once told me I was a waste of air now sending threats disguised as guilt trips? It didn't even end there. Then came the smear campaign. Because guilt tripping me wasn't working, so he leveled up. Told my siblings I was dangerous. Said he felt unsafe around me. That I had rage issues and might snap one day. I'm dead serious. The same man who made me sleep on our cold basement floor for a month as a punishment was scared for his life. Apparently he told my sister that he sensed darkness in me. Bro, the only darkness I've ever shown is walking past you without saying hi. If silence and boundaries scare you, that's a you problem. But my siblings? They ate it up. My younger brother texted me this half-baked warning like, I know you're upset, but threatening dad isn't the way. Excuse me? The only threat I ever made was removing myself from their group chat and leaving them to pay their own electric bill. But according to dad, that was step 1 in my alleged plan to take him out like I'm auditioning for a Netflix crime doc. He was out here running full-on propaganda, making up stories, saying I'd been watching him weirdly, that I was hoarding tools. Dude, I was literally working. You know, the thing none of them do. It was wild watching them believe it. Like he played the concerned old man card, and suddenly I was one Reddit thread away from a Lifetime movie villain. No facts, no receipts. Just vibes and decades of their own guilt projected onto me. And even then, I still didn't respond. Because if they're that quick to turn on me off baseless nonsense, they were never really on my side to begin with. I could see the panic starting to creep in. Not because he was sick, but because I was serious. He thought this was a phase, that I'd fold and come crawling back like I always did, or that letting my siblings go against me will hit the weak spot. But it didn't. I didn't pay the power bill. I didn't send money for groceries. I didn't call the pharmacy. I let the house creak. I let the water heater die. I let the cable cut out. And the minute those lights went off, so did the masks. That's when my siblings got loud. My sister, who hasn't worked more than a part-time boutique job in her entire adult life, called me with this dramatic energy like she was auditioning for a soap commercial. You're punishing everyone because of your issues with dad. It's not right. And I told her word for word, I'm not punishing anyone. I just stopped being the unpaid maintenance guy. Figure it out. She said I was being cold. That family doesn't abandon each other. Funny how that only applies after I cut the cord. They never said that when I was paying for their internet or bailing out my brother's 3-week car rental because he forgot the due date. Let's talk about him for a second, my younger brother. He bought a Dodge Charger he couldn't afford, posted it on Instagram with the caption, "Built different," and 2 months later asked me if I could cover part of his insurance just until I start my new job. He never started the job. Now he's calling me a sellout and saying I'm turning into one of those rich guys who forgets where he came from. Brother, I remember exactly where I came from. That's why I don't want to go back. And Mom? She played the middle ground like always. Sent me a soft text that said, I know things got out of hand. Maybe we can sit and talk. You know your father doesn't mean everything he says. No, Mom. He does. That's the problem. He meant it when he smashed my PC over nothing. He meant it when he said I was a mistake. He meant it when he tried to legally rob me just to protect his favorite kid. And now he means it when he acts like I'm the bad guy for not playing piggy bank anymore. The problem with enablers is they think their silence is neutral. It's not. It's approval with the volume turned down. So I told her the same thing I told them all. I'm not angry. I'm just done. You all figured out how to survive before I paid the bills. You'll figure it out again. And I detached from every single one of them. Calls, texts, socials, emails, even the group chat. Nuked it all. They lost their access not just to my money, but to me. You'd think that would stop them. But no. My sister got creative. She made a Facebook post. One of those long, vague, performative things where she pretended she was being cryptic, but it was obviously about me. Something like, sad when family lets money change them. Some people forget love is priceless. Got 3 likes and a pity comment from a woman who used to babysit us and thinks essential oils cure diabetes. I didn't respond. Didn't even flinch. Because here's the truth. Love isn't priceless. It costs time, loyalty, protection, accountability. You can't keep asking someone to carry a broken roof while throwing rocks at them from inside. What broke the whole house of cards? The utilities? Once I stopped paying, the power got cut off. Then water. Then the HOA came after them for unpaid fees. Then my dad had to apply for assistance. Assistance. The man who once screamed, "No son of mine takes handouts," is now filling out forms for state aid and blaming me for it. The same guy who wouldn't let me turn the heat on past 68 growing up is now crying about how cold the house is. It's poetic, but not in a romantic way. More like a badly written sitcom getting canceled mid-season. By this point, my brother had already paid me back, by court order. But the guy's image took a hit. His new wife found out about the shady financial stuff during divorce proceedings, and let's just say she's not exactly riding for him anymore. I heard from a mutual friend that she called him a liability, which, yeah, accurate. Turns out, she wasn't just calling him a liability, she meant it. Because not long after their honeymoon glow wore off, about the same time the lawsuit fallout started hitting, she bounced. Quietly. No dramatic fight, just packed up, dipped, and filed. And here's where it gets delicious. He tried to crawl back to wife number 1. Yep, the same woman he left in the dirt so he could play young power couple with his filtered Instagram soulmate. I guess he figured wife number 1 was the safe option now. Stability, familiarity. Maybe he thought she'd take pity on him because they had history. Nah. She slammed that door so hard it echoed through our whole messed up family tree. She didn't just say no. She laughed, said he made his bed, and she hoped it gave him back problems. Now he's stuck paying divorce costs for 2 marriages, 1 broken home, 1 failed PR rebrand, and to top it all off, he's on the hook for monthly custody payments for the kid he had with wife number 1, because while he was busy chasing aesthetics, she was raising a child and keeping records. So now he's broke, alone, and legally leashed to 2 different women who want nothing to do with him. All of them are liabilities. That's what I finally realized. I wasn't being a good son. I was being a safety net, a walking bank with a spine. They called me selfish the second I chose self-respect. That says everything. You want to see people's real character? Take away the free stuff. See who's still kind when you're no longer useful. They made me into the villain. That's fine. Every family drama needs one. Here's what people don't understand about boundaries. They're not punishments. They're walls to keep things safe. I wasn't seeking revenge. I was securing peace. But peace doesn't always look like a warm hug and closure. Sometimes it looks like filing paperwork and blocking numbers. Sometimes it looks like letting the man who never respected you learn what it's like to live without your support. Sometimes it looks like freedom. I legally removed myself from any shared ownership or inheritance connected to the family home. The title had been partially in my name due to the years of bills I paid and the mortgage restructuring I helped set up. But now, signed it over. Not to my dad, to the bank. Let them figure it out. I left them the problem they created, all tied up in their own names, without my credit score holding it up anymore. And let me tell you, that was the most freeing signature I've ever put on a document. No more wondering if I'd be the bad son. No more guilt. No more fake holidays. No more, we're still family talks from people who wouldn't lift a finger for me if my car broke down. Now, it's quiet. Not the scheming kind. The real kind. The kind of quiet that happens when you finally leave a toxic room and shut the door behind you for good. What's funny is, I don't even feel angry anymore. It's not bitterness. It's clarity. I see my dad for what he is. A narcissist who needed a scapegoat. My mom? A spectator? My siblings? Tourists in the house I rebuilt. I spent my life trying to earn stripes in a family that never gave me a patch. Then I realized I was building someone else's kingdom with my labor. And when I stopped, they tried to sue me for breaking their toy. Now, I live alone. Quiet house. Everything paid for. No drama. No guilt texts. No fake birthdays, just space. Peace isn't always soft. Sometimes it's just space, empty, quiet, and finally mine.